the rise and fall of the gold standard. For centuries, gold wasn't just a metal. It was money itself, a shining symbol of stability, trust, and power. Every coin, every banknote, every fortune was once tied to this glittering mineral pulled from the earth. But how did the world go from worshiping gold as the backbone of global finance to abandoning it altogether? The story of the gold standard is a tale of ambition, greed, and the slow unraveling of the world's most trusted economic system. The golden beginning. Why gold became money. Gold has fascinated humans since the dawn of civilization. Unlike other metals, it doesn't rust, tarnish, or decay. It's rare enough to be precious, but common enough to be mined and traded. From the Egyptian pharaohs to the Incan emperors, gold symbolized divine power and eternal wealth. It gleamed in temples, crowns, and tombs, a material so radiant it seemed touched by the gods. By the 6th century BCE, the Kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey, became one of the first to mint standardized gold coins. Each coin bore a royal seal, guaranteeing its weight and purity. That trust, the simple promise that a gold coin was always worth something, sparked trade on a scale the world had never seen. Gold became more than metal. It became a language of value, understood across cultures and continents. As empires rose and fell, gold remained the one constant, incorruptible, enduring, and universal. So when nations industrialized centuries later, they turned to gold once again to anchor their currencies to something real, the birth of the gold standard. By the early 19th century, paper money had spread across Europe and America. It was convenient, but dangerously unstable. Without a standard, governments could print as much as they wanted, and inflation followed like wildfire. The solution was elegant: tie every unit of currency to a fixed amount of gold. In 1821, Britain became the first nation to officially adopt the gold standard. Every pound sterling could be exchanged for a precise weight of gold, and vice versa. Other powers soon followed: Germany, France, and eventually the United States. International trade flourished because for the first time, money had a universal anchor. It was the closest humanity had ever come to a single global monetary system, a golden age of trust. The golden age of stability, 1870-1914, between 1870 and World War I, the world entered the era of the classical gold standard, a period of rare economic peace and predictability. Inflation was nearly non-existent. Prices were stable. Gold moved between nations like a self-balancing scale. If a country imported more than it exported, gold flowed out. That reduced its money supply. Prices fell and exports became cheaper, restoring balance naturally. It was like a thermostat for the global economy, adjusting itself without political interference. For nearly half a century, this system made finance feel almost scientific, predictable, and pure. London became the beating heart of world trade, and the British pound earned a nickname that said it all: as good as gold. But the system had one fatal flaw: it thrived only in times of peace. World War I, the first collapse. In 1914, the world changed overnight. Nations needed mountains of money to fight the Great War, far more than their gold reserves could cover. To fund the chaos, governments suspended gold convertibility and printed paper money in massive quantities. The discipline of gold, the rule that you could only spend what you had, vanished. Inflation exploded, fortunes evaporated, and by the time the war ended, the old world order had collapsed. In the 1920s, countries tried desperately to rebuild it. Britain and the US reintroduced the gold standard, hoping to restore trust. But the world was no longer the same. Economic inequality, war debts, and political tensions made the system fragile. The gold that once symbolized strength now began to feel like a chain around the neck of progress. The Great Depression, the final blow. When the Great Depression struck in 1929, the gold standard turned disaster into devastation. Under its rules, countries couldn't print more money to boost their economies. Their supply was limited by gold reserves. As trade collapsed, prices fell, and unemployment skyrocketed, governments were paralyzed. Imagine a firefighter forbidden to use water because the town only had so many buckets. That was the world under the gold standard. Nations that clung to gold suffered the longest. Those that broke free recovered fastest. In 1931, Britain abandoned gold entirely. 2 years later, Franklin D. Roosevelt took the U.S. off the domestic gold standard, outlawing private gold ownership and fixing its price at $35 an ounce. The age of gold-backed money was dying. Gold, once a symbol of confidence, had become a cage. The Bretton Woods system, a new golden promise. After World War II, the world sought stability again. In 1944, leaders gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to design a new economic order. Instead of returning to the old gold standard, they created a hybrid system. The US dollar became the anchor of global finance, and the dollar itself was tied to gold at $35 per ounce. Other currencies were pegged to the dollar, not directly to gold. It was a clever compromise. Stability through the dollar, flexibility through policy. For 2 decades, it worked beautifully. The US held most of the world's gold, and trust in the dollar was absolute. Trade flourished, economies grew. It felt like a new golden age, this time powered by confidence rather than coins. But beneath the surface, pressure was building. Nixon and the end of the gold standard, 1971. By the late 1960s, America was spending far beyond its means. The Vietnam War, social programs, and global investments flooded the world with dollars. But there wasn't enough gold to back them all. Foreign nations, especially France under Charles de Gaulle, began demanding real gold in exchange for their dollars. U.S. gold reserves drained rapidly, and panic loomed. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon addressed the nation and made a shocking announcement. The U.S. would suspend the dollar's convertibility into gold. It was supposed to be temporary. It never was. This moment, the Nixon shock, marked the final end of the gold standard. Money was no longer backed by gold, only by government decree and public trust. The world had entered the age of fiat currency, money that has value because we believe it does. The aftermath, life after gold. The end of gold terrified many. Without it, what would stop governments from printing endless money? The answer, as history showed, was complicated. The 1970s saw chaos, oil shocks, runaway inflation, and collapsing currencies. But over time, new tools emerged. Central banks began managing economies through monetary policy, raising or lowering interest rates instead of adjusting gold supplies. Gold lost its official role, but not its mystique. It became the refuge of last resort, the asset people rush to when paper money falters. Once fixed at $35, its price now floats freely, often soaring during recessions or wars. Gold is no longer money, but it remains the measure of money's worth. The legacy, what the gold standard taught us. The gold standard story reveals a deep truth about humanity. We crave stability, yet demand growth. Gold offered stability, fixed prices, disciplined governments, predictable trade. But it also made economies rigid, unable to respond to crises or innovation. As the modern world accelerated, through technology, population booms, and globalization, gold couldn't keep up. Even today, debates rage on. Some call for a return to a gold-backed system, believing it would restore honesty to money. Others argue it would choke progress. Gold may no longer back our currencies, but it still backs our belief in value. From solid gold to digital faith, the gold standard was more than an economic rule. It was a philosophy. It told the world that money should be as tangible, rare, and honest as the metal it represented. But as humanity evolved, so did our understanding of value. Today, money exists mostly as digital code. Numbers on screens, moving at the speed of light. We've traded the solidity of gold for the flexibility of trust. From the glitter of coins to the glow of computer screens, we've shifted from physical wealth to psychological wealth, from metal to mindset. And yet deep down, the memory of gold still glows in our collective imagination. The dream of a time when money was real, stable, and unshakable. Maybe that's why, even in the age of Bitcoin and blockchain, the question still lingers. Was life better when money was made of gold? If you enjoyed exploring the rise and fall of the gold standard, like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about how money, power, and history continue to shape our world.